I see you. So let me get you in here. Grayson, thanks. Thanks, buddy. I needed a haircut. It was getting way too long. Okay, wait. Where did Annette go? Okay. Okay. Annette's coming in hot. So thank you everybody for joining. Hi, Annette.
Hey, Clifton, how are you?
I'm really well. How are
Do you
you
have great
doing?
news? I'm
Nice
great.
to see you, my friend.
I
Did,
know. Virtual hug.
you look great.
So do you.
I love the room you're in. Beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to switch it up from last time because you were in my dining room last time. Now we're in my living room.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
gorgeous.
thank you.
Um, well, just wanted to welcome you back. This is round two of Thinking of Art with Annette English, and just wanted to share a little bit about her. She is an LA-based interior designer that provides high-end interior design services to clients in LA and around the world. As a full-service design firm, Annette English and Associates provides interior architecture, design, custom furniture design, landscape, and lighting design, as well as a lot more. So today we want to talk about cultivating a client's unique style. So Annette, thank you for wanting to join me with this and brainstorm and talk about how you and your firm really cultivate clients' unique style. So with that, I know one of your core principles is that the belief that design evolves through the attentive cultivation of a client's unique style. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Clearly every client, every individual, myself and you included, have a particular aesthetic and style in mind. So when clients come to us, they've already quite often envisaged their dream home.
Mm-hmm.
So they, how are my cats getting ready to enter the scene here? Um, so, they've got their dream home in mind. They've quite often collected and accumulated images of what that house is going to look like. And so they hire us as
Mm-hmm.
a way to sort of like elevate their vision and take it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
So we work together in this really sort of symbiotic dance to, ask a lot of questions, do a lot of due diligence and homework up front, spend a tremendous amount of time with them before we even start designing the home, just to find out what it is that they're really looking for and to sort of elevate it beyond their wildest dreams.
Sure. So how do you work with clients to make the space uniquely theirs?
Uh,
Because obviously you have your own design aesthetic and they hire you kind of for your eye, but how do you make sure that it still remains kind of their own space that they love?
Well, it's quite easy really because, just as individuals are unique,
Mm-hmm.
so are our clients and their concepts for their home and their desires for their home. So, once again, it's elaborating on that first question. We ask our clients to pull a lot of images from Pinterest or anything that sort of ignites their passion. Um, and everybody has a unique style. So, in my 25 years, I've never done the same house twice, nor
Mm-hmm.
would I want to. And so a client might come to us for a transitional style home or a French chateau or something incredibly modern. And,
Mm-hmm.
we work to not give them something that's cookie cutter. It's completely unique to them. We never try to push our sensibility upon them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we just want to work together and help them um, realize something really wonderful and unique. And that might mean, we're shopping for really, really unique furnishings, vintage pieces, but nothing that's sort of been done before because that's not creative and fun for us. And that's not what they're hiring us for either.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I wanted to touch on that a little bit as far as like the art goes. And I like working with interior designers and architects and bouncing ideas back and forth. But I mean, I really hear you. I mean, a client can come to me and say, hey, we need a piece of art to fill the wall. We don't really care what it is. Or they can come in with really specific ideas and saying, okay, well, it needs to be this size. It needs to be, you know, have these colors in it. It needs to be a more figurative piece or a more abstract piece. So with that, I mean, I can narrow it down as well, but I think the juxtaposition between the design element, meaning the, you know, the fabrics and the color scheme and all of that, sometimes clients like it to kind of blend with that color scheme and aesthetic, and other clients are like, hey, let's do something that really stands out. So I'm curious, from the art perspective, what's the range of kind of client communications that you have when you're you know, curating the art specifically?
When we're curating the art, you know, that sort of comes down to the individual client as well. Some of our clients are avid art collectors,
Mm-hmm.
and they already have their own art collection. Um, um, you know, looking for help to sort of, you know, either they're budding, you know, art aficionados. Um, we're always trying to find things that, depending on the client, is either going to pop and stand out and be the focal point in the room, or it's going to be something that's like quiet and blend and is sort of more neutral. And that can
Mm-hmm.
also depend on what, because serenity and something peaceful. You don't want this wild Jackson Pollock screaming at you, you know, at the foot of your bed. Um,
Yeah.
so it really depends on the room and the medium and all of that, and it just again is unique. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you, as you just said, you know, you find the same thing with your clients, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's one of the funnest, I mean, I would say the funnest part of my job is really kind of hunting to find the pieces that are going to make people happy. And sometimes that is something that's quick, and sometimes it can take months or even years in some cases for pieces to come up either at auction or, you know, from to really catch their eye and for people to really fall in love with them. So I love it. I love what I do, and I love talking to you because you, obviously you do very well, and you're very passionate about what you do as well. And I think we're both very blessed to be doing something that we like. Um, I wanted to move on and talk about, how does one choose the right designer, architect, curator to make their dream home come to life? I'm curious of your thoughts about what one needs to consider when making that decision.
Mm-hmm. Um, it's a really great, relevant question because I think one of the most important things is, you know, as a client, you have to think, because what we do mostly is ground up construction, and those projects take anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So you're
Mm-hmm.
really sort of getting into a marriage with
Mm-hmm.
somebody. And so, you know, the relationship has to be there. And so what we find, what we come up against is we might be among 9, 10 other interior designers that are interviewed for a project.
Mm-hmm.
And the client might be doing the same thing for the architect and the same thing for the contractor. A smart client would do that because they're looking for relationship, they're looking for does our aesthetic jive together, given that we're going
Mm-hmm.
to be in this relationship for such a long time. So we find that we're interviewed amongst many designers, and then it comes down to relationship and portfolio. Um, I think clients should be on the hunt for an architect that has their aesthetic, or that they believe is, you know, is really, really creative, and therefore with that creativity they can do any style, because I believe that if you're
Mm-hmm.
creative you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just a matter of doing your research. You know, if you're building a home, it's something that you really care about. And if it's your forever home, or even if it's something that's temporary, you need to put the right team together. That's
So
the,
yeah, so how does that process work? You know, so say, you know, you're doing the design, somebody else is doing the, you know, is the architect, and then you have, you know, an art consultant. How do those teams work together? Talk about that process.
Um, well, depending on where we are working with, sorry. Sometimes the architects will bring the designers in.
Hmm.
Sometimes the client already has a designer in mind that they want to bring to the table. Um, Sometimes the contractor is the one that's putting the entire team together.
Hmm.
Sometimes the client has a contractor in mind, has an architect that they've worked with in the past, or is only going to work with a referral from one of their dearest friends.
Right.
So it's always a unique combination of players,
Yeah.
and something that clearly we can't control. But I would say after establishing a great, a really nice relationship and a reputation in Los Angeles, we tend to work with firms that are sort of like the best of the best. And so we're
Hmm.
working with great contractors, great art consultants, and we're always looking for new people to work with too. So like someone like you, for example, I
Hmm.
can't wait for us to have a project where I can bring Kipton to the table,
Hmm.
and clients can interview you and see if you're the right fit. And so it's never the same with each project. It's always unique, again, in terms of the players and how does the client go
Hmm.
about finding the right team. For example, last week, myself and one of my team members went to a client interview,
Hmm.
and the client, we were highly referred to the client by, she's a Superior Court judge, by one of her best friends who is also a Superior Court judge, and they've known each other for 20 years. And so for this client, she doesn't need to meet any other interior designers. This recommendation from her dear friend is all
Sure.
she needs. So,
Hmm.
it's unique every time.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this is an obvious yes question, but I want to ask it. Are people more conscious about the time they are spending at home right now, as far as from a design perspective?
For sure. Our community, and I'm sure all communities, but I'm talking about the interior design community, I'm sure architects, contractors, we're having a lot of, Zoom calls around the country talking about, how our clients are being affected, how everyone's being affected, me, myself
Yeah.
included. People are spending more time at home, so clients now are looking to sort of build that fantastic gym that they might not have had before. Really
Sure.
work on, the indoor outdoor experience of living in California because we have such great weather. Home offices are key. And I think that because people might not be traveling or spending a lot of money on superfluous things like they
Yeah.
might in the past, they're looking to sort of redecorate their homes, remodel their homes.
Yeah.
So,
So
um,
talk about like the changes or patterns that you've seen, since COVID and during COVID. Really curious of that.
yeah.
So what do people really now want in their homes now versus pre-COVID?
Um, well, one of the things I would say, just to sort of like preempt that question, is
Okay.
given that we do a lot of ground up construction and we haven't focused on remodels as much in the last, say, 10 years of our career,
Mm-hmm.
um, now we're being approached to do a lot of remodels because clients may have been in their homes for 20 years, their houses have paid off, they have a lot of equity in their homes, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of like spending all the money on going to be displaced in this really sort of like unknown environment that we're in, they're wanting to put the money into their homes to remodel.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think for a lot of our projects, like the ground up ones, are already in construction. So the footprint has already been set.
Mm-hmm.
And our clients tend to have a lot of money. So they've already got the gyms, they've already got the great indoor outdoor living. They've already got a great home office, but I know for the future that people are going to be spending more money on how their homes feel, how their homes make them feel,
Mm-hmm.
and how, you know, the rooms that they spend the most time in um, sort of support um, and their well-being.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What do you think is the most important thing that people need to consider when designing their dream home, and when choosing the art that will live with them at their home?
What do they need to consider?
Yeah.
Um, I think they need to consider their home as their sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, we live in a crazy world these days, and for people that live in big cities such as us in Los Angeles, you know, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
frenetic energy out there. And
Yep,
so, you
for
know,
sure.
we like to create sort of ambiances that when people come home, the minute they put their key in that front door and they close that door and they close out the world behind them, that they're walking into their respite, their
Mm-hmm.
sanctuary, the place that's really going to sort of like put its arms around them and hug them.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, you know, like these days people are foregoing, for example, a formal living room, a formal dining room, and just having these sort of like big open spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they want a lot of natural light. They are entertaining outdoors. And it'll be interesting to see as, you know, because I think that, you know, COVID in America might play out for another year before we're back to normal. I hope I'm wrong. But, you know, how that social distancing will sort of affect us in our homes, you know. But I think it'll take us sort of more outdoors, more outdoor entertaining, um, to sort of be safer. And but I think that, you know, they want to feel that they're taken care of and loved in their homes, and that they have lots of space, and that, you know, their homes are purposed well. Like, actually, there's
Yeah.
a home we're working on right now. It has no hallways.
Wow.
And it's actually a brilliant use of space, because hallways, you know, whilst they're traveling paths to take you from one room to the next, it's actually a brilliant design that this architect has come up with. There are no hallways in the house, but there's an incredible flow and fluidity as you move through and saunter through the home.
So
So
did you create barriers through the house through the furniture layout, or?
Um, no, there's not even actually barriers. When I think about like this one particular home we're doing right now, it's like you walk in the front door, there's an
Mhm.
entry, then you go off to the right, there's the dining room. You go straight ahead, there's a big, massive open great room and kitchen. Then you go to the outdoors, which is all indoor outdoor living space.
Mhm.
The office is behind you to the left. Then you go upstairs, and it's like all the rooms are, you have like a central upper, it's not a courtyard, but like upper um, foyer sort of thing. And then all the rooms are off that. There is no hallway, there's no connection. You just walk out of one space into the next. And it's really kind of brilliant because you're using every square inch of that home, and
Mhm.
it's purposed well. And this house is 14,000 square feet, and it's just, it feels really intimate.
Wow. Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point, if you're able to show, maybe we can do another one when we talk about more of an open plan living style that you've worked with and created. Um, so I'm curious on your thoughts really on the art market. And since there are no art fairs, everything is online, the galleries are closed by appointment only. Um, I mean, I've obviously been following the auctions. The auction market has been strong. I know everybody in the kind of the gallery world that I deal with have been really busy. Um, so I'm curious in your thoughts on how you're sourcing art, during this time, or your clients, what they're saying to you, because we were so trained with going to art fairs. There were so many art fairs, not only in this country but around the world, and all of that stopped. So museums are closed. Galleries again are by appointment. So curious on your thoughts and just sourcing art in general, and if it's opened up kind of an access point to you to meet more artists that are unrepresented during
Oh,
COVID?
that's a great question. Well, first of all, I think it's tragic that, you know, all of these wonderful you know, opportunities and spaces are not available to us at the moment, and I'm sure
Yeah,
you're feeling it.
yeah.
Um, so what a lot of our clients are doing right now is just as you've said, are going to auctions to purchase art, doing a lot of, like, everything's digital, everything's
Mm-hmm.
online.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, given that COVID's sort of like, what, we're 7 months in, 8 months in, I haven't personally been sourcing art or working with art consultants at the moment, but speaking to my friends and art consultants that I do know, they are sourcing art through auctions and
Mm-hmm.
speaking to consultants such as yourself that have like a huge resource library of artisans and galleries that they do know, so you can go by private appointment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that type of, like, private appointments or auctions or things like that. But a lot of my peeps are going to consultants such as yourself, like people that are really talented.
Yeah, no, no, I think exactly right. I mean, I talk to colleagues, every day with what's happening, and I feel like, you know, as far as, if people are looking to buy art, I mean, there's so many resources online where you can buy art now. But if you need help or you need, kind of your handheld during that process, finding a good art consultant that you vibe with, that can guide you, that can help negotiate the prices for you, can do the due diligence on, the quality, the condition, all of those things behind the scenes. I mean, I think having a good consultant, especially during this time when you can't physically go to a gallery or you can't see artwork in person, or it's much more restricted, especially if it's not in your local, if it's not where you live. Um, Finding a good art consultant that way is fine. And I have recommendations of people and colleagues that I work with, if anybody wants to reach out for that. But um,
I know you're well versed and resourced, and you have you're so talented yourself. I mean, I would say that
thanks.
people listening here should, like, start with you if they need an art consultant, and you have a bevy of resources. So
It's thank you. It's a lot of fun. I love what I do, and I'm very blessed to be able to do it and work with a lot of interesting people. Talk about kind of your, and if you don't mind, talking about your personal life and how you've been since we last spoke, and with COVID, and have you been able to travel any? Have you been able to get on a plane or felt comfortable getting on a plane? Because you have client projects that are outside of LA. So how
mhm.
are you navigating that?
Well, like everybody, it's been a very challenging time personally. Um,
Hmm.
for me, especially, I know that you're a workout junkie. Me too. So not being able to go to the gym is just like, ah.
I know.
But
Yeah.
being outside is nice. Um,
Hmm.
I think that we're all having to adapt to this
Yeah.
new moment, and I say it's a moment because it's not going to be forever. Um, I have flown. I took a trip back to Australia a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, my mother died unexpectedly.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
My condolences to you. I had
Thank
no idea.
you. Thank you.
Mm,
She was 89, so she had a generous, well-lived life. But I appreciate that.
mm. Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
so we, I didn't know what to expect. I went back with my husband, but we were fortunate enough to fly business class, and there weren't that many people on the airplane.
Hmm.
I was flabbergasted because every single airport it was like a ghost town. So we flew from LA to New York, New York to Dubai, Dubai to Australia, and there was like three people at the airport. It was just the most bizarre.
Wow. Wow.
And we masked up the whole way, and I felt safe. And then the incredible thing was when we got to Australia, because Australia is very strict about COVID and they're really taking care of their people.
Yeah.
unlike here.
Yeah.
Um, we were in
Did you have to
quarantine.
quarantine? You had to quarantine, yeah,
We
for
were in
14 days.
Yeah, strict quarantine, manned by the Australian police and the military. And it was great. I was so grateful for their service. But when we got out of quarantine, it was life as normal in Australia. I mean, you could go to the gym. There was no masks. You could do anything
Wow.
you wanted, like just regular life. And I was just proud to be Australian in that moment because
Oh,
the
that's good.
government is really taking care of the people.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah,
That's
it was.
wonderful to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, um, but yeah, I think we're all adjusting, and I'm hoping that we'll have some semblance of normalcy um, sometime in the future in 2021. But
Hmm.
I think for sure where there's changes that have occurred that will stick, and I think that things will be more digital.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that we all have to adapt to that. But the one thing that I really, really miss is having in-person meetings with our clients
Hmm.
because it is such an intimate, and I'm sure you do too, it's such an intimate relationship that you
It
cultivate.
is. Yeah.
To be doing it all via Zoom, and when you've got all
Yeah.
the tactile things that you want to touch and feel and see,
I
um,
know. Yeah.
here's a tile on Zoom. We actually send our clients, we got really creative. We create this really beautiful box. It's like Christmas. And we'll
Hmm.
send each room in a box and it's layered with beautiful tissue paper. And so we'll do the whole presentation process online. And at the same time, they're opening the box and they're feeling and seeing all the materials and the tiles. And so it's just one way that we've
Oh, that's
found to
very cool.
get around it. And now we might start having presentations at our office outside because we have a great outdoor area. So I miss that. I miss because I'm such a people person.
Yeah. No, I miss the client interaction as well. Yeah, I've started for clients, for example, that want to see art. I didn't used to do this, but now I'm having artists kind of roll the pieces up, unstretch them, send them, especially if they're emerging artists, because if you're looking at a piece that's, I don't know, $5,000 or $10,000, by the time you create it and ship it, you're going to spend a crazy amount of money. So to reduce the cost doing that so people can feel it and get a sense of it in person. And I've been doing that more than I ever have, which has been interesting to see kind of how it's transitioned. Um,
And you
but
still have to, I mean, I'm sure like my business, you have to find ways to, still go above and beyond and make your clients happy and sort of think outside of the box and think, okay, how can I meet this time and
yeah,
these new restrictions that we weren't expecting and still
hmm,
give them like, you know, knock themselves out of the ballpark type experience. Um,
hmm,
so it's interesting, but it's still
yeah.
fun because it helps us sort of like step out of our comfort zone and be a little bit more creative.
The one thing too I want to point out is that there are a lot of industries that have really suffered, and my heart goes out to them.
Me too.
But our industry, I mean, everybody that I talk to has been super busy. And that's why I feel just so grateful to be doing what I'm doing right now. But there are people out there that think, okay, well, it's COVID, the economy is in flux or whatever. So let's see if we can really negotiate down a piece of art and get a really good buy on it. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like artists during this time are selling work, at least all the artists pretty much that I know are selling their work or have generated sales, I think is really positive. But I would say if you're looking to buy art directly from an artist, going to be sensitive to what they're going through and don't try to take advantage of them during this time. I feel that some people may try to do that, and I'm always very defensive when it comes to artists and protecting them and the relationships that I have with them. So I just want to put that energy out there.
Yeah, I think
But
that's awesome.
yeah.
I agree. A lot of people are suffering, and we have to help them. And
Hmm.
we're doing the same thing in our own ways. in our industry. So I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that, and
Mm-hmm.
that people shouldn't be negotiating artists at this time because they're struggling.
Right.
Some, not all of them, but so yay,
Right.
Kipton.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to put it out there just for other people because I don't know. If we didn't have art, you know, like if we didn't have artists creating art, we wouldn't have the beautiful, you know, be able to put beautiful things on our wall and for them to be able to continue to live their dreams and do what they love. So kind of we're
Right.
all in this together and I just wanted to throw that out there. But
Yeah.
what other thoughts are on your mind? I know we're running tight on time now, but if there's anything that you wanted to talk about, any about your company or your projects right now or anything personally, just wanted to give you the floor.
Ah, okay. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? Well, I'm dying to travel. I'm dying to get through this election. I'm feeling,
Yes, me too.
you know, like the universe is telling us to wake up with all these wildfires and things that are going on. So I
Yeah,
just think that we all have a voice, and that it's important that we all stand up and rally together and get out there and make a difference and not be silent and not think that our voices don't matter. So
absolutely.
I
And
think we're
vote, people, vote, please.
exactly, you said it. Vote,
Whoever
please.
you're voting for, just vote. You know, go
Yeah,
out and vote. I mean,
yeah. I
don't
actually I
the
volunteered yesterday.
privilege.
I volunteered yesterday. A couple of my team members are volunteering, but I'm signing up for the polls to help, you know, count the tallies
It's
um,
awesome.
and I think, you know, young people, you can go out there and make a difference, and it's more critical now than in my lifetime ever.
Hmm.
And so, you know, our climate change, all these things, not to sort of like hamper the conversation, but it's a very critical time in our world, and I think that we can all
It
make a difference,
is.
and we need to get out there and do
It
something about
is. Absolutely. I mean, I always, you know, was sensitive to climate change. And, you know, it wasn't until last summer when I was in Indonesia for 6 weeks and I was swimming and with the coral and spending a lot of time in the ocean and hearing the locals talk about how the coral was dying. And I know we spoke about this, I think, on our last IG Live that we did together. But it wasn't until I was physically in the ocean that I could see the coral dying and hearing the stories of this happening and rippling that it really became much more, I don't know, much more heartfelt. So it is real, it is happening no matter what the press says. And so anyways, but I'll
yeah,
get off my soapbox.
it's a whole nother topic, Kipton.
What?
I said it's a whole nother topic.
I know it's a whole nother topic. We can totally do a different conversation anytime you want to do it. But thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking time to share, you know, your thoughts on cultivating a client's unique style. And as always, it's a pleasure to see your face, and I hope to see you soon. All right.
Oh, it's always a joy to see you, and thank you so much, Kipton. I love speaking with you. Bye,
You're welcome.
everybody.
My pleasure. Big hug.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.